Hello, I'm Brigham Avery, and welcome to Hollywood and Ivy, where Sunset Boulevard meets Addison and Clark, the show where we get to know celebrity Cub fans from the entertainment world as we take you from Wrigley Field to the red carpet. Today's guest needs no introduction, only a toast.
How you doing, Norm?
Cut the small talk and give me a beer.
Cheers to Chicago native George Wendt, star of the award-winning NBC show of the same name. And his character, Norm Peterson, was arguably the most popular resident of that Boston bar where everybody knows your name. During his 11 successful years and 6 Emmy nominations as Mr. Peterson, he also appeared on the silver screen, working and performing with Ron Howard, Chevy Chase, and Michael Keaton, before becoming the heart and soul of Saturday Night Live's Da Superfans. And he passionately chanted, "Da Cubs," prior to one of his multiple appearances of Take Me Out to the Ball Game at Wrigley Field. Please welcome entertainment legend George Wendt. And welcome George Wendt to Hollywood and Ivy.
Thank you.
Great to have you.
So Hollywood,
Absolutely.
which is it? Is it Hollywood here?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
You know, George, you're one of 7 kids.
Yeah.
You know, sports growing up, baseball growing up, the Cubs growing up. Was that more of a passion, a love, or just more of an escape to get out of the house?
Yeah, a little bit of both. You know, we enjoyed sports, and you know what red-blooded young American boy didn't?
Yes,
what?
sir.
Sue me.
Was football, baseball, which was your first
Yeah, I think
love growing up?
college football was probably my first love. And, of course, baseball and football, the Bears. And, you know, I'm old enough that I remember the Chicago Cardinals.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Played
And look
indoors.
at them now. See, they're my second favorite team, the Cardinals.
Did you play Little League growing up?
I did. I tried. I sucked out loud. I mean, I was afraid of the ball. Definitely afraid of the ball. I could not hit it. I think it was just fear. I'll never forget Johnny O'Sullivan's dad was umpiring, and I swang. He called ball, and I swang.
Yeah.
And he goes, strike. Yeah. He had
That
already
was your
called,
introduction.
He had already called it a ball.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because, I mean, I was just like,
Oh.
hey, is it going to hit? And, you know, I think the first hot grounder I ever really stayed down on took a bad hop and hit me right in the
Oh, my
nose. You know
God.
what I mean?
Bad luck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was on one
Right.
of these guys catching, grounders. And so I sucked.
Yeah.
Baseball, not my thing. Softball, okay. You know, except for, those 16-inch clinchers, like,
Oh, yeah.
you get the finger jammed. And
Those can hurt.
I don't know, softball I wasn't, they weren't throwing it fast.
Right.
You could bat.
Yeah. Talk about the first time you walked into Wrigley Field. What do you remember?
Freezing my ass off. Just so cold. I've never been more cold in my life.
Must have been April.
It was. And there was a bigger crowd in the men's room just trying to huddle at those heaters, that
yeah.
dried your hands.
Right.
Like about 20 kids in there going,
yeah.
like, get out of there, get out, jockeying for position in front of the hand dryer.
Did you have hot cocoa in April? Hot cocoa is like a king's ransom at Wrigley Field because you carry it around.
I didn't.
It's amazing.
I didn't have that kind of dough.
You're freezing cold at Wrigley Field your first time.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah.
I think about specifically that kind of weather, and how do people actually go during that? Why do you think they go? Because April and May, it's almost like you have the Bears, you have bear weather, but who wants to go in April and May? It's just
Well, that's when the enthusiasm and the optimism is the highest.
yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and
Right.
full disclosure, I am a South Sider.
Right.
And the game I'm referring to at Wrigley Field was a Sox-Cubs exhibition game.
Wow.
So I'd have been there rooting for the White Sox.
My goodness.
Now you knew this.
Yes.
Brigham.
Oh,
Don't-
George, I knew. But
I
you're from
know.
Chicago. You like both. You mix it up.
I mix
You do?
it up,
Yeah.
but my
You
nephews
cheer for
on the
both.
South Side are going, what?
Right.
First he sings the take me out to the ball game at Wrigley Field. I'm like, it's a gig. Relax. It's okay. But they thought their world made no sense because why was I doing a Cub thing? And here I am again.
I'll tell you why, because you're a Chicagoan.
That's
and
right.
you support both teams specifically, right?
I do.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, I
understand
think
that mentality.
Cub fans need to worry about becoming entitled. You know,
Interesting.
because I think one title every
108 years.
108 years is that suits us better. It's unseemly to be an entitled Chicago fan.
I think it is, except for the Bulls in the 90s.
No, the
That's
Bulls
what I feel is the
and
exception.
the
George.
Blackhawks even more recently. Those were great days.
Oh, yeah.
What are we going to do? But otherwise, we should just be grateful to get us.
What's that song?
Just
be thankful for what you have.
Yeah, and if they get us into football season, and still be sort of kind of in the race.
Somewhat exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me one Cub, George Wendt.
Yeah.
Either current or past that you'd love to have a beer with. I think it'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Fergie Jenkins. Probably my favorite Cub. But I did love the. Why? I don't know. He's just great. I mean, I think he had 6 20-win seasons in a row or something like that. And that was when I really enjoyed the Cubs. It was before things got ugly with the South Side and the North Side, I think.
Right.
Because the Cubs were, it was that 69 team, we all love and broke our hearts, every one of us. But those guys were amazing. Kessinger, Beckert, Ernie,
so many.
Billy Williams,
Ron Santo.
Holtzman, Santo, Sheesh, Randy Hundley,
Who's your favorite from that era?
Fergie.
Is it Fergie? Yeah. So in essence, you like Fergie. You'd have a beer with him.
Yeah.
Who do you think, George?
I could have a beer with all of them.
Who do you think would be a good cast member on Cheers as far as former Cubs? What former Cub would be a really good cast member of Cheers and make a good character?
Well, Harry, of course, he was also a South Side icon as well.
Lots of division.
But matter of fact, one of my favorite Second City sketches. Well, I guess when I was at Second City, Rune Arledge, the legendary head of ABC Sports, was named. Yeah, he was named head of ABC News.
Oh wow!
And they were kind of looking around for the right anchor team. I believe they had Harry Reasoner and Barbara Walters, and she got fired or something. And so our premise from Rune Arledge was the ABC Evening News with Harry Carey and Jimmy Pearsall.
Oh, wow. That's hilarious.
Yeah, and we just ragged about everything in the news. And then Jimmy would give his editorial and,
oh, gotcha.
Go nuts and climb the walls. And
Harry,
is this good enough for you, Dad?
Back with more on Hollywood and Ivy after this. Welcome back to Hollywood and Ivy, where Sunset Boulevard meets Addison and Clark. We're visiting with George Wendt. Tell me specifically about you going to Second City. You've been there a couple years, and you finally felt, or somebody contacted you and said, George, you've been at Second City for a few years. We'd like you to come and perform in the children's show. And you got really excited about it. Relay that story.
Well, yeah, I was in the workshops at Second City for a year, and the director, Josephine Forsberg, said, I think you might be ready for the children's show. I was like, oh my God, I would be able to be on that stage.
Finally, real stage
time. Oh,
time,
yeah,
right?
yeah, that stage. And she says, yeah, why don't you show up around 11 o'clock Sunday morning? I was like, okay, great. Show's like at 2:30, right? Yeah, but just show up at 11.
Yeah.
So I'm there promptly at 11, and the door's locked.
Yeah.
I'm ringing the doorbell, and finally she comes down with a broom and a dustpan, and I'm like, oh, great. What are these? And she goes, welcome to the theater, kid.
Oh.
And so I had to clean up the room for the little children, it was just filled with, dirty ashtrays and cigarette butts everywhere and cocktail glasses.
Oh, wow.
And the night porter didn't come in until a couple hours before the show to clean up the room.
So it was an adult show the night before.
Oh, yeah, it's a nightclub.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Harry Carey versus Norman Peterson in a drinking contest.
Harry Carey, no question. I don't know how he did it. Maybe he was faking it sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Also, not a beer drinker. I mean, he'd like to advertise for Falstaff and
Budweiser.
Budweiser, of course. But he, as far as I know, he was drinking screwdrivers.
Is that with orange juice?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
A lot of citrus.
Yeah. That was his drink?
Right off the bat,
Man.
like I wouldn't worry about the vodka. I'd worry about the acid in the citrus.
Did you drink those with Harry?
No.
No? You never did?
No.
What beverage did you enjoy with Harry Carey?
I discovered a long time ago that I'm not a miler. I'm a sprinter.
Nice.
I need to see the finish line, so I generally don't start drinking till I don't have anything else to do in the day except order a large pizza and go to sleep.
Wasn't that perfect for your character on Cheers? Norman Peterson?
Yeah.
You'd show up every day, get everything out of the way, and then just grab a beer?
Up here?
I mean,
Yeah.
starting with a beer.
Yeah.
What were some of your favorite Normisms? Some of the, because you'd walk in, you'd have a great entry line, like, Norm!
Yeah, let's see. Well, the gold standard was probably, it's a dog-eat-dog world.
And I'm wearing milk-bone underwear.
Yeah, but, Nick Colasanto, oftentimes, early on, before he passed, he would, he was a little loosey-goosey with the setups.
Uh-huh.
The joke is, how's life treating you, Norm? Like a baby treats a diaper, right? And so I'd walk in, afternoon, everybody, Norm, can I get you a beer, Norm? Like a baby treats a diaper. Thanks, Nick. Thanks for that one. All right, cut. All right, let's go back. Georgie, go back. All right, take two. Afternoon, everybody. Norm, what can I get you, Norm? Like a baby treats a diaper. Thank you. All right, cut. Wait, and finally, Nick, you would go, how's life treating you?
Right.
But he was not solid with the setups.
Now, for those of us that don't know that are Cheers fans, Nick was who on Cheers?
He was the coach.
Right.
Nicholas Colasanto, the late, great TV director and character actor.
Oh, he was a TV director as well.
Hundreds of television shows, action, FBI, The Fugitive, Bonanza, those kinds of shows.
Coach did that. He directed.
Nick.
Wow,
Yeah.
man. Now, I ask you about Coach because Coach was very important because he led to someone else. Now, who ended up replacing Coach and became very close to you?
Woody.
Yeah.
Mr. Harrelson. He's a lot of fun. He's a gamer.
What about the night before Woody debuts on Cheers, and you ran into him actually in Los Angeles?
Yeah.
Tell that story.
Well, I met him the night before his audition.
For Cheers.
I was at the supermarket, and I'm looking at some groceries, and he comes up and he goes, "Yeah, my friend wanted me to say hello to you, so hello. I'm auditioning for the role of bartender to replace the coach."
Mm-hmm.
I go, "Oh man, that's great.
Right.
Well, good luck with that. What's your name?"
Yeah.
And he goes, "Woody." And I go, "Oh no, not the character's name, because I knew that the role was Woody Boyd."
Yeah.
And I said, "What's your name?" And he goes, "Woody." I was like, "Okay, I think I might be seeing you tomorrow." And sure enough, he got it.
Man.
You know what? He came in, he walked in. He's so precious. He walks in, freaking hayseed, and first thing he does is whip out his handkerchief and blow his nose. Okay, what? And they just roared. And
that's your first impression. That was everyone's first impression of Woody. Ted Danson, Shelley Long.
Yeah, but
Cliff.
the best story is Ratzenberger, because he came in for my role, and he it wasn't going very well.
Yeah.
and he'd been kind of a very successful comedy star in the UK for the previous 10 years or so. He had a great improv act with his partner called Sal's Meat Market. Anyway, John felt it wasn't going well, and he was getting not much energy from the room. So they go, well, thank you very much. And he goes, yeah, thank you. And he literally, not figuratively, literally had 1 foot out the door. And he pops his head back in and says, do you guys have a bar know-it-all? And they go, well, no, what do you mean? And he started improvising as Cliff.
Right.
And they wrote him in.
My goodness. Cliff Clavin made his own role on Cheers.
Chutzpah, baby.
Wow,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. How did you get your role on Cheers? How did Norm Peterson
It was very
evolve?
boring.
How?
My agent said, well, honey, these guys on Cheers want you to do this role, and it's really small, I got to tell you. I go, okay, cool, I like those guys, yeah, because I had worked with them on Taxi. And so how small is it? She goes, well, it's 1 line. I go, oh, okay. It's 1 word, honey. I'm like, oh, actually, it's 1 syllable. I go, okay, what is it? Beer. And the role at the time was meant to be Shelley Long's first customer.
Ah.
And it was in the tag of the episode, so the whole thing. So Shelley, in the tag at the end of the show, she's now hired by Sam.
Right.
And she says, hello, my name is Diane, I'll be your waitress. Well, I'm not really a waitress, I'm an academic, I this, that, the other, and I write poetry. She goes on for like a page, like she did. And then she goes, oh, I'm sorry, I should probably take your order. What can I get you? And I go, beer. And she goes, beer, perfect. And that was going to be the end of the episode. But it grew. The role grew.
Very nice.
And that bit got cut.
Do you miss her, Shelley Long,
Well,
ever saying,
yeah,
no, ever saying,
everybody.
Norman? No, didn't you love how that, Norman?
Yeah.
It was very affectionate, almost kind of sexy,
Sweet,
wasn't
yeah,
it? Norman?
yeah.
Norman?
I never thought of it as sexy,
Norman,
but yeah.
right? A very affectionate way
Now
of
that you
saying
mention it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back with more on Hollywood and Ivy after this. Stick around, everybody. Welcome back to Hollywood and Ivy. I'm Brigham Avery. Today we're visiting with George Wendt. I'd like to mention that you've sung Take Me Out to the Ball Game at Wrigley Field as yourself individually and as the Cubs with Smigel.
Yeah, it was cool, and I remember learning about Hollywood negotiations because I said, sure, yeah, I can do it, but I'm going to need 4 tickets for the Springsteen concert.
Yeah.
The head of the network calls, Warren Littlefield calls. He says, why is he holding a gun to our head? I'm like, oh, jeez, I'm sorry.
For 4 Springsteen tickets?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound like a gun to anybody's head. That sounds like a reasonable request.
I know.
In 2016, when the Cubs won it all, erasing 108 years of pain, did that help make up for 1969 and some of the disappointment you faced at that time and felt?
I couldn't believe it because
Yeah.
we watched it. It was like a slow motion train wreck.
Oh my God.
You saw it coming. The Mets kept getting hotter, and the
Right.
Cubs kept choking. And poor Ron Santo, he'd try to do this Nijinsky kick, as he went into the clubhouse after every victory. But these were defeats, and I think there was a black cat
It
involved.
walked right across Ron Santo at Shea Stadium in New York.
Yeah. It was very, very sad. It was such a fun summer for Chicago.
Yeah. Talk about the '84 Cubs with Ryan Sandberg and that team. Did that bring it back a little bit? Because you were in your prime then. Cheers was a hoppin' show.
Yeah.
You're in the Ghostbusters video in 1984. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But did the '84 Cubs, were they special to you? Did they?
Yeah, it definitely helped. At that point I was thinking, God, should I, really be a Cubs fan and, as a career move maybe, so I could hang out with all the cool guys, Johnny Cusack and Belushi and Billy Murray and, whoever, Billy Corgan, like the
Yeah.
the
Vince
A
Vaughn.
team, Jeremy Piven. But you know, I am a South Sider at heart.
Don't you feel, George, as though you're already welcome in that club? I mean, for God's sakes,
Sure, yeah.
Bill Murray asked you to perform in the Ghostbusters video,
Well, I don't
right?
know if
Wasn't
Billy,
it him and Ivan Reitman that got you to do it?
well, Ivan Reitman, yeah. I don't know if Billy was involved, but you know, I was shooting something over there, and they, you know, they popped in and said,
Yeah.
"Hey, can you come over on your lunch break and like, what do I do?" And just say Ghostbusters.
Oh my God. Have you ever partied with Bill Murray at Wrigleyville, in Wrigleyville or Wrigley Field?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Not at Wrigley Field so much,
Yeah.
but
Wrigleyville?
Wrigleyville and Chicago environs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What was your favorite haunt in Wrigleyville? Can you remember?
I.O., frankly.
Oh.
Improv Olympic.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice. Did you ever go to Sluggers?
No.
No. Cubby Bear?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Cheers is on for 11 years, and then you host the George Wendt Show, which is a combination of you were a mechanic that had a radio show. So it's
Well,
it was
it
kind of
was-
news radio meets taxi, right?
Yeah, it actually was based very loosely, too loosely, on the Car Talk brothers. You know,
I heard of them. Yeah.
Click and Clack,
Right.
from NPR.
Yes.
And you know, we should have been a lot more closely adapted, because it just laid there. Nobody liked it. There you
Now
go.
I read the synopsis of the show and the essence of it, and it sounded really funny. And you just you wonder why, and you wonder why something like that sounds so inherently funny is good, and then you think about a show like Frasier, and what was the secret
But
to
you know
that
what?
success?
But
you
that
know?
was also brothers,
Right.
and also involved a radio
Exactly.
calling show. So I was like, I didn't, I don't know.
I have a theory. Can I tell you what I think it is?
Go ahead.
I think the reality of Frasier on Cheers is that he was unknown enough to where you'd want to know more about him in a spin-off show. You heard a little bit of him ranting
Yes.
and raving in Cheers. You heard some of his
Yeah.
interesting. You said Lilith, and you want to see more in another show.
Well,
you know?
Kelsey's great.
Yeah.
You know, he's money.
Absolutely.
And this show just, didn't really work. So
Yeah.
what are you going to do?
Talk about when you got a call from the director of White Man Can't Jump, and he wanted to talk to you about a certain friend. of
Oh,
yours.
no. This was a call from Alan Malamud,
Yes. Pardon me.
an amazing L.A. sports columnist,
Mm-hmm.
both for the Herald Examiner and then later for the L.A. Times. And he was a buddy, and he was friends with Ron Shelton.
The director
And-
of
yeah,
White Man Can't
White
Jump.
Man Can't Jump. And he said, you play basketball with Woody, right? And I go, yeah, we play, every day, basically, at lunch and stuff. He says, is he good? And I go, yeah, he's a good ball player.
Yeah.
And he said, no, really, because Ron Shelton is telling me that he's doing a basketball movie and he can't. He said he's looking at people and they can't play. They just can't play. All the actors he's interested in can't really play.
Right.
How good would you say Woody is? And I said, if you put him on the floor with like a Division II college basketball team, he wouldn't look out of place. You wouldn't go, who's the actor trying to play basketball?
Right. Right. Oh my! There, look at.
There he is. Oh God.
And you're very interesting looking, George. That's a nice look.
Thank you.
Good.
Yeah.
That's Hairspray, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's backstage at Hairspray.
Goodness.
Woody's got his hands where they shouldn't be.
Right, and I can tell by your face. And Woody's too. So
He's a rascal. But I said, no, he's a good. And he goes, huh, okay, yeah, I'll tell Ron.
Right.
And so
there you go.
there you go.
You've done some stage stuff too. You were in The Reanimator, which is where we met originally in New York, and then you were in this. And so, what's the big thrill? Are you enjoying a stage acting career? Do you like that most? Do you like TV most? What's your favorite?
Theater's by far the most fun.
Why is that?
Well, once you've rehearsed it, you spend a month, 6 weeks rehearsing.
Right.
And then it's like you show up at 7:30 and you're out the door by 10:30.
Oh, it's just autopilot. You just kind of show up and you. Yeah, that's right.
It's a breeze.
Right.
Whereas movies and TV, single camera TV is as bad as movies, and we're reading all about it these days. But it's long hours and really tough work.
We're visiting live with George Wendt on Hollywood and Ivy. We're having a great time. We'll be back with more after this. back on Hollywood and Ivy, visiting with George Wendt. George, you have a very successful and hilarious nephew. He's got a great show on the air right now called Ted Lasso.
Yep.
And how proud are you of your nephew, Jason Sudeikis?
You know, I'm immensely proud. He was always funny. And, you know, my sister, Kathy, his mom, you know, she would, early in his career, she would say, "Oh, I don't know. What do you think?" I'm like, "Relax. Oh my God, relax. He's if he wants it, he's got it."
Did he crack the family up as a kid, George?
Well, he was an offbeat child. You know, he was definitely fun and funny. But I mean, when he found improv, you know, back in Kansas City, and then he went on to Chicago and studied with Annoyance and Second City and I.O. And then he spent time at Boom Chicago and Amsterdam. You know, he's really pulled it all together. And yeah, I'm very proud. I mean, he's just so decent.
Speaking of that, Ted Lasso will really just take your heart and lasso it. It's an amazing show. You feel great after watching it. Did you enjoy that show?
Yeah. It's the vibe is so positive.
There's a picture he's got of you paying homage to you in one of the bars. It's a kebab bar. You were telling me, right? Is what it is. I thought it was an English expat bar, but it's a kebab bar where your picture's displayed.
Yeah, English kebab house. Roy Kent goes in.
Yes.
And he's trying to cadge a free kebab.
Ah.
Because look, you've got my picture up on the.
Oh, that's right.
On the wall, and it's next to mine,
right.
Of course.
Yeah.
Like I've.
Does he say it like this? Look, there's me picture. Oi, there's me picture next to George. How about a free kebab?
You know, whenever I'm in Toronto, people say, "Hey, do you know a good restaurant in Toronto?" And I say, "Yeah, just go in any place in Toronto, and if there's a picture of Joe Mantegna by the cash register, that's where you want to be."
Awesome. We got some footage of you and Jason talking about him coming out to see you in L.A. in the late 80s, and he tells a pretty funny story. We can check that out right now. It's you and your nephew, Jason Sudeikis, talking about the good old days.
We all went out to California to visit, and George had just gotten a new car. This maybe the same car you have. It was a badass BMW like manual drive, which I'd never seen before. You know, I was pretty young, and he took me and my dad for a ride. My dad sat shotgun. I was in the back all by myself. This was not when you needed to, you know, mandatory seatbelts, and then drove us through Laurel Canyon. As a man who had driven that thing hundreds and thousands of times, we had not been on that, and he had my dad holding on to it like nothing he'd ever seen, and I'm just sliding around the background just because the seats were brand new, and just. So I hold that that memory very fond.
So 1991, Saturday Night Live, you get a call to perform in the Superfan skit. Yeah. Talk about that reality.
Well, it was just a hosting gig, and they pitched what I'd like to do. Did I see the version with Joe?
Oh, okay.
And I said, yeah, that was cool. And they said, would you want to try to do that one? I go, yeah, that'd be great.
And here we got some of it right here. So this is you and Joe and Robert performing.
Yeah. Robert Smigel wrote most of them. Bob Odenkirk and Robert Smigel basically created the characters.
Oh, wow. Saul?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
And he and Robert wrote a screenplay also.
Right, yeah.
For this Superfans movie.
So talk about that. That's what this is, right, George? You were alluding to that
Well,
earlier.
we were doing a reading for charity of the movie that never happened because Chris passed away. So
Chris Farley.
Yes, Chris Farley.
Yeah.
The late, great.
What would you say is the plot of this movie? Can you reveal that? Because it sounds like I'd like to guess what it is, but you could.
Okay, you'd never guess.
Okay.
It was whack.
Okay.
It was the boys were.
Apocalypse Now.
It was a satire against corporate suites in new stadiums. And it wound up being just called like fan ball, where they had to push one fan member across the goal line. So it was like Chicago versus Philadelphia. Literally just morons, like us. On the field, like, 10,000 people on a field pushing it. And Marty Short up in the booth going, "I love it," you know, like, and you know, it was, you know, they're silly characters, but,
Right.
But Robert Smigel is a vicious satirist, and they went for the jugular with this screenplay.
Right.
And it probably, you know, Chris was so hot at the time, it probably would have got made.
Yeah. It would have.
Yeah,
It would have,
yeah.
absolutely, because that's they were making all those SNL movies. They made Pat,
Yeah,
Wayne's
yeah,
World,
yeah.
the Coneheads. They were all spin-offs
Yeah.
and skits.
And but that was a reading, and Mike Ditka was
Yeah.
there, and and we had fun.
Wow. It's a long history with you in SNL, George. The first time you hosted was with Francis Ford Coppola.
Yeah.
Now, what was that like? That's a very unique combination. It's like, well, we're going to have
Yeah.
Woody Harrelson and Steven Spielberg, but they're not available, so how about Coppola and George Wendt?
Yeah.
How did they cast that? What was the thinking?
You know, apparently Francis wanted to do it for a while
Ah.
and had bugged Lorne about it. And so Lorne, it was Lorne's first year back.
Uh-huh.
And so once again, I was hosting, and it was the season finale.
Uh-huh.
And, you know, I went out, and it was very weird. No band. Well, the musical guest was Philip Glass.
Right.
So the band was not in the background.
So G.E. Smith and the
right,
Saturday Night were not there.
No,
Wow.
they were not there. There was no, you know, happy jazzy
Yeah, yeah.
sax and all that energy that they
Uh-huh.
bring, and the applause, and instead it was a super. Francis Ford Coppola presents Francis Ford Coppola's Saturday Night Live.
Wow.
Starring George Wendt as the host. Place, New York City. Time, now. And I walk on to dead silence, no band, no sax, nothing. And I start in with my monologue, and I get about 2 or 3 jokes in, and Francis comes swooping in on a crane
Right.
with a megaphone. George, I didn't, and a beret. You know, what I mean? It was like, you know, I didn't believe that. I didn't. Could you try that again?
Right.
Only this time, do you know something? And I said, well, Francis, they already heard the jokes.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
they're
yeah,
not going to
yeah,
laugh
yeah.
again.
Right.
And he says, audience, try to recall something from your childhood that made you laugh. You know, it's like.
That's almost, George, a whole show based on an homage scene from Apocalypse Now. Remember that when Robert Duvall and he's, keep acting like it's fun. Remember, he's actually in Apocalypse Now. So it sounds as though he recreated a whole SNL episode based on
Yeah,
that.
it was cool. And then the ending was everybody with the good nights and waving
Yeah,
and
none
the
of that?
crazy music. And no,
weird.
it was me out on 6th Avenue outside of 30 Rock and trying to hail a taxi. And of course, you know, limos of people,
Yes.
you know, like bridge and tunnel people were, it's Saturday night at 1 in the morning. And said, hey, that's the Norm guy. Pull
Right.
over there. I'm like, no, keep going. We're doing a bit. You know,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'm like trying to get a taxi.
So you also, we discovered this recently, that I thought you would have been perfect in Bleacher Bums, the Mantegna play, but you were actually in that. You had some.
Yeah.
You.
I did it a couple of times.
Yeah.
I did Dennis Franz's role
Uh-huh.
in a L.A. production.
Uh-huh.
And then I did it in Chicago that Joey directed.
Right.
And replaced Dennis Farina, who got a movie or something. And he couldn't do it. And I
Wow.
had just blown out my knee. And I said, Joe, I would love to, but you know, I just blew out my knee. I'm in
Yeah.
a thing from. He said, it's okay. We'll change the block.
Yeah, that's right.
It's okay,
Yeah,
George. You'll just sit there. It'll be fine.
That's right.
You know, he's in such great shape. My
Yes.
wife, we were at his wife's place in Burbank a couple of years ago, and before they closed.
Right. Taste
And,
Chicago.
yeah, Taste Chicago. And my wife goes, Joey, you look fantastic. He goes, what can I tell you? I kick down doors for a living.
George Wendt, everybody. And this is Hollywood and Ivy. We will be back to wrap things up after this. Everybody, don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Hollywood and Ivy, where Sunset Boulevard meets Addison and Clark. We're visiting with George Wendt. Great to have you here, George.
Thank you.
Having a good time?
Thank you.
In addition to the show Cheers, you were also on some other 80s hit shows. Talk about those experiences.
Well, I was on Taxi and MASH.
Yeah.
And Soap.
I love the theme from that. Da, 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 da.
Yeah, I remember, and I was so green. I was, just brand new in Hollywood. And in Soap, I was like a short order cook in a deli, breaking up a fight between Donnelly Rhodes and one of the other fellows in the cast. After the dress rehearsal, which they shot, there's a little dinner break with notes from Susan Harris, this legendary producer of Golden Girls and Soap, and she goes, in that diner scene, the short order cook, who's that? And I'm like, yeah, right here. And she goes, yeah, stop mugging. I was like, oh, Jesus.
For those not in show business watching, George, what does mugging mean exactly?
Oh, making faces.
Ah, very good.
Yeah.
You also were in some really big 80s movies as well. Some of my favorites, Gung Ho and Fletch. What was it like working with Chevy Chase, Michael Keaton, Ron Howard, Clint Howard, all those fun folks from the 80s?
It was a blast. Time of my life. Chevy.
You and Mike. Michael.
That was, it took me to Argentina. It was crazy. The movie was sort of anti-Detroit.
Right, yeah.
I think they felt that. So there were no car plants that we could shoot in, and so they were left with a choice of an old shut down John Deere factory in Iowa that they would have had to refit with all different equipment, or a Fiat plant in Buenos Aires.
Ah, wow. So this is in Buenos Aires?
The whole kit and caboodle went down to
It wasn't in Pennsylvania, it's in Buenos... Wow.
I mean, we shot exteriors and stuff in Pennsylvania.
Right.
But all the automobile plant stuff was in the Fiat factory in Buenos Aires.
Right.
So we were there for a month. It was nuts. I mean, nuts. It was just awfully cool to be in Argentina, it's like, wow, this is big time.
Talk about how you and Chevy Chase used to rehearse lines in Fletch. You talked about
that. Oh,
gosh.
I don't want to
keep it
bust
clean, but,
poor Chevy, but, we...
You'd be in the men's room, right?
Yeah, he would say, let's rehearse as if we're a couple of old fellas in...
Conversing
between separate stalls in a men's room.
Yes.
So to be like, and we're, going number 2, and be like, so Fletch, I was thinking, oh God, okay. Yeah, I was thinking, did you see anything suspicious on the beach? Oh, beach. I don't know, Sam, I was, So it was that was Chevy's.
That kind of fun stuff.
Chevy's mode of rehearsing. And Ron Howard was, just a budding genius.
Just off of Splash at the time, in 1986. Yeah. What was it? Did you know that he was going to do this stuff? Did he seem like a genius?
Well, no, I'd seen Cocoon and Splash. And
Happy Days, too.
I did not see Grand Theft Auto.
Ah.
But I'm sure Clint and his dad Rance were in it. Because they did everything.
All of them.
Yeah.
George, I've got a couple things to give you some gifts, and one of them is it's right here. I want to see how familiar this might be to you. I'm going to show the audience here. Look at this. This is the close up on that. This is the shirt from the last episode of Cheers. I don't know if you. Yeah. If that evening holds some significance to you in your mind.
Yeah, it definitely does.
Yeah.
It was a 2-hour show.
That's right.
And they served us drinks for the entire 2 hours.
Oh my goodness.
And they didn't think to feed us. Then we went on live television.
Yeah.
with probably the biggest audience the Tonight Show had ever had, because it came right off.
It
right off
went
the
right, segued
season
from that.
series finale of Cheers. We were ugly. We were just hammered, and we thought we were cute and funny. It was just wrong.
I watched you and Woody throw food at each other.
Yeah.
You guys were all sitting around the bar like we were. You just pelting it out of the show. It was crazy,
yeah,
you know.
yeah.
And speaking of which, we've been here live at a bar. I thought you'd like to be at a bar. Norm would feel comfortable
Of course.
at a bar. This is essentially the Cheers of Southern California. We're here at Silky Sullivan's. It's been around since 1984.
Right.
And it's got the spirit of Cheers. And actually, they've got some. I'm going to reach down and reach into this. And this is it's an actual honorary diploma from Silky Sullivan's. This is the bar we're at here today, and this is for you, George Wendt. As you can
Wow.
see, Mayday Malone is the dean there, and this is we can hold this up. It's
I'm a doctor.
a doctor of what is that? It's a doctor of
Drinkology.
drinkology for George Wendt. And
I'm a doctor, folks.
Congratulations, everybody, George Wendt. Gonna maybe put that next to maybe a picture of you and Cliff.
Yes.
No.
Awesome.
It's been great, George. We can hold that together. And why don't we got our beers? Why don't we toast and cheers? And here we go.
All right.
Thank you for tuning into Hollywood and Ivy. We're at Sunset Boulevard meets Addison and Clark. This has been George Wendt. I'm Brigham Avery. We'll see you next time, everybody.
Cheers.
Cheers.
To be the best in the National League. Well, this is the year and the Cubs are in. So come on down to Wrigley Field. We're singing now. Go Cubs, go! Go Cubs, go! Hey Chicago, what do you say? The Cubs are gonna win today. Let's go! Cubs, go! Go Cubs, go! Hey Chicago, what do you say? The Cubs are gonna win today. It's a man. Go Cubs, go! Go Cubs, go! Hey Chicago, what do you say? The Cubs are gonna win today. Go Cubs, go! Go Cubs, go! Hey Chicago, what do you say? The Cubs are gonna win today. Go Cubs, go! Go Cubs, go! Hey Chicago.
Hollywood and Ivy was filmed live on location at Silky Sullivan's in Fountain Valley, California. Brigham Avery's wardrobe was provided by Richie Suits of Beverly Hills. Richie Suits, a perfect fit. Hollywood and Ivy is a presentation of Brigham Avery Productions.